Welcome to Exploring Creation with Physical Science, Experiment 12.1, Electrical Attraction and Repulsion. The procedure is published in J. Wile's Exploring Creation with Physical Science, Apologia Educational Ministries. The purpose of this experiment is to observe when electrically charged objects are attracted to one another and when they repel one another. It is also to learn about the properties of electromagnetic force. The equipment and materials used in this experiment are as follows: 2 balloons, thread, cellophane tape such as Scotch tape, and of course eye protection. I would also add that you'll need a pair of scissors to cut your thread. And we're also going to be taping the thread to the ceiling. So I recommend this painter's tape, for example, because if you put Scotch tape on the ceiling, you might actually pull off the paint. You will need the Scotch tape, though, for a different part of the experiment. So we'll put on our eye protection. And then step 1 of the procedure tells us to go ahead and blow up both balloons and tie them off so they stay inflated. So go ahead and pause your video here so that you can do that. All right, so now we have 2 inflated balloons, and step 2 says to tie some thread to one of the balloons and attach the other end of the thread to the ceiling with some tape. And again, I recommend that painter's tape to do that. And you want that balloon to be hanging from the thread. So we want to make the length of the thread so that the balloon hangs at about the same height as your chest. So I'll be tying this up so it'll be hanging down from the ceiling using this thread. We'll go ahead and tie this on. And a simple knot like so. This is when you need 4 hands to do your experiments. Okay, and then that will be taped up to the ceiling. So go ahead and pause your video to be able to do that, and I'll see you back in a couple minutes. Okay, so there's my balloon hanging from the ceiling. I have written a few messages on the balloon because we're going to see some, or we hope to see some effects of movement on the balloon, and it'll be hard for you to appreciate what side of the balloon is facing the camera if I don't give you some perspective with some messages on there. So step 3 says take the balloon that is hanging by the thread and rub it in your hair a little. This will cause the balloon to pick up some electrical charge. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that and rub it a little in the hair. Now, this experiment does work better if you live in a dry environment. If you live in a humid environment, definitely make sure it's not raining the day that you do this experiment. Otherwise, it's going to be difficult for you to see the effects that we're looking for. Okay, step 4, take the other balloon and rub it in your hair just a little. So in my experiment, the blue balloon is the, quote, other balloon. I'll rub that in my hair just a little. Step 5 says hold this balloon in both your hands and slowly bring it close to the balloon that is hanging from the thread. Now, before I do this, make sure you've made your hypothesis of what you think is going to happen. I'm bringing the balloon close to the hanging balloon, so the blue balloon close to the red balloon, and it is causing that red balloon to move away. It's repelling it. So why do you think that is happening? Play with the situation a little bit, trying to see what kind of motion you can induce in the hanging balloon. That's step 6 of the procedure. So we've got some repulsion here. Oh, now the balloon has gone and stuck against the wall. That's an interesting observation as well. Get that back off the wall. Let's see what else we can make this balloon do. So it's repelling it. now we can make it spin a little bit. And repel and spin. Now go ahead and write down your results that you have seen there. I might pause the video for you to be able to do that. Okay, moving on with step 7, it says to vigorously rub the balloon that is in your hands in the air, in your hair. So this blue balloon is going to get rubbed in my hair some more. Spend significantly more time doing this as compared to what we did in step 4. So hopefully we're picking up a lot of electrons, a lot of stray electrons that are hanging out in my hair. Okay, now step 8, once again bring the balloon in your hands close to the balloon that is hanging on the thread and note what happens. And we're also going to note how the motion of the hanging balloon compares to its motion in steps 5 and 6. So it's repelling there. It seems to be repelling with a stronger force. And we're also getting some spinning and a lot more movement. Let it sit for a minute. We'll go again. Can make that spin around there. And spin the other way. And repel. Oop, and now it's touching it. So what are we learning from all of these observations? Do recall from your studying that like charges repel and opposite charges attract. Step 9 tells us to put away the balloon that is in our hands. Then step 10, take a piece of tape. Now this is that cellophane or scotch tape that is at least 15 centimeters long and tape it to the top of the table. We're going to leave a little part of it unfastened. And that's going to be necessary for the next step. Now do be careful that you're using a table that you're not going to ruin the finish on. So I'm adhering that to this countertop. I have a little bit here that I can pull off. Step 11 says quickly rip it off the tape and grasp it at both ends. Then we're going to hold the tape near the hanging balloon with the sticky side facing the balloon and see what happens. Again, make your hypothesis first so that you can make an educated prediction about what you think will happen before you actually observe it happening. I'm going to pause here and adjust the camera so you can see the balloon reaction to the tape. But we're going to go ahead and rip off that tape. Now I'm holding that tape in both hands. And we're going to see what happens. And the balloon is very much attracted to it. It's very difficult to get away from this balloon. Step 12 says, once again, play with the situation a bit to see what kind of motion you can induce in the hanging balloon. So we can make the balloon spin. Mostly the balloon is attracted to this tape, but the spinning part is actually a little bit of a repulsive force until we have a very strong attraction. like so. Go ahead and write down your observed results. Okay, that concludes experiment 12.1. Thank you so much for joining me here in the laboratory, and I look forward to seeing you next time.